When did you stop trusting yourself? Not in a dramatic way, not in a my life fell apart way. I mean quietly, the subtle ways, bit by bit. Where did you stop trusting your gut, your instincts, that inner voice that just used to know? We used to make moves, trust our sense of direction. Now we pause and wait. We ask three other people what they think before we do anything. This thing is a sneaky little gremlin to deal with. Let's open up the garage and peel back the layers.
Welcome to the Mechanic's Garage. Let's get to work.
Welcome to the Mechanic's Garage, guys. I am Chris the Mechanic Miller, and on the lift today is doubt. Now let's be honest, we aren't stuck because we don't know what to do. We just doubt ourselves and our decisions. I had a guy I worked with once told me he hadn't made a real decision in 2 years. Not a single one. Every choice, from his job to meals to weekend plans, they were all filtered through someone. Whether it was his wife, his friends, group chat, he just simply said, I don't want to screw it up. But what he wasn't seeing was he was already screwing it up by outsourcing everything. He'd given away the wheel and convinced himself he was safer in the passenger seat. And that's a lot more common than you think. And it doesn't happen overnight. It happens in micro decisions, like death by 1,000 cuts. You keep handing off the small stuff until even the big stuff doesn't feel like yours to own. You're stuck because you don't trust yourself to do it. We start overthinking and second guessing. We'll get a gut hit and then instantly ask 5 friends what they would do. Google every choice, scroll instead of actually make a decision. There was a point in my life where I did all of that. I'd make a decision, and before I even took the first step, I'm already looking sideways for someone to validate it, checking how many likes I got online or a pat on the back from the boss. None of that is leadership. That's all fear dressed up as research. So where does this all start to begin with? Maybe you got burned. Maybe you made a call and it just blew up in front of you. The truth is, we aren't reckless. A lot of the things that we do, it's just raw and untrained. And instead of learning from the breakdowns, we decide we can't trust the driver anymore. Ourselves. Maybe you were raised in a house where every decision was questioned or punished. Maybe you've just never seen a man own his choices without asking permission. We learn all this early on. We learn that authority lives outside of us. Teachers, parents, coaches, bosses. And we keep looking out there, even when we're the damn adult in the room. Any of us with kids have probably seen the Lego movie. You remember the main character in that movie, Emmett? He's all running around like everything is awesome all the time. But the dude can't do anything unless he's got instructions in his hand. He doesn't trust his own ideas, doesn't move forward without being told. And that's the trap most men fall into. We're handed so many instructions early on, how to act, what to want, who to be, that when the manual disappears, we freeze. We scroll, we ask, we defer, because we've never learned to trust our own blueprint. And that's not because we're weak, it's because we've been programmed that way. When a man is taught to obey before he's taught to think, he learns to fear himself. And that fear doesn't scream, it whispers. You sure that's the right move? Better wait, don't screw this one up. What's the cost to keep living like that? The answer is simple. It's everything. You stall your purpose, drift in your marriage. You become passive in fatherhood. You'll say yes when you mean no. You'll say no when you wanted to go all in. And the worst part? You stop recognizing who you even are. I had a guy that I was coaching at one point said, man, I used to have fire. Now I just float. He wasn't broken. He was just disconnected. He'd gone years avoiding conflict with his wife, thinking that being agreeable was the same as being a good partner. You know, we hear it all the time. Happy wife, happy life, right? Problem is, we don't notice how many dreams we're shelving, how many times we would just say whatever you want just to keep the peace. Now, this guy in particular, one day his kid actually came up and asked him, "Dad, are you doing okay?" And he couldn't come up with an answer for his kid. That's what losing yourself looks like. It's not dramatic. It's quiet. It's slow. And it shows up in your absence more than your presence. It's like driving a car with a dashboard you don't trust. So you pull over every 10 miles to ask someone if everything looks okay to them. It's exhausting. It's a man that's headed nowhere. So how do we fix all of this, guys? Well, not all at once. That's the lie that keeps getting you stuck. Start like this. Step 1. Catch the doubt. Notice the moments you hesitate, the second guessing, the pause before action. I used to sit in the car before walking into the house after work. I'd tell myself I needed a second to decompress. But truthfully, I was rehearsing what to say, afraid to just be myself at home. The moment I caught that pattern, everything started shifting. I started asking, what am I afraid will happen if I show up as me? That was my entry point to reclaiming my decisions and giving myself permission to be who I wanted to be. Write the doubts down. See the pattern. The moment you hesitate. The second guessing. The pause before action. Write them all down so we can check the pattern. Step 2. Own a small decision daily. Choose your outfit in the morning without asking your wife if it looks okay. Take initiative at work without checking if the boss says go for it. Respond to your kid's tantrum with calm authority instead of looking at your wife to step in. These aren't heroic acts. They're daily trust reps. Each one tells your nervous system, I've got this. That's how you start building trust from the ground up. Lastly, track the follow through. Did you keep your word to yourself? That's where trust is built, not with others, but with you. Think back a little bit. Did you say that you'd start some kind of a project, start waking up earlier, cut out junk food, maybe go to the gym, and then just don't? Where did you accept doubt's offer, and what did it give you? A little bit of relief? A little safety? Maybe. But it also gave you a weaker foundation. It told your nervous system you can't count on us. That builds rust, not trust. Real trust comes from when you act, even if the move is small, even if it's clumsy. You showed up. You followed through. That's how the repairs start. You don't need to prove that you're right. You need to prove that you're reliable. Ask yourself this stuff. Where do I outsource my choices most? What belief told me I can't be trusted? What's one area I'll start owning fully this week? You guys, we don't need to find ourselves because we aren't lost. We're just buried under hesitation, people-pleasing, and broken agreements. You need to trust the man who's already in there. Now, the rebuild isn't pretty a lot of times. It's not loud. It's rep after rep of telling the truth and following through. So if you want to lead, then lead yourself first. You want to be the father that they remember? Then be the one who steps in. Not just when it's easy, but when it's tense, when it's uncertain. I remember a guy told me at one point his daughter had a breakdown in the middle of the grocery store. Screaming, crying, full tantrum meltdown. His first instinct was to look around and see who was watching, to feel embarrassed. But then he caught himself and took a breath, kneeled down next to her and held her hand and, hey, I got you. We'll get through this. No yelling or bribing, just presence. That moment changed their bond more than any lecture or rule ever could. Your kids won't remember all of your plans. They'll remember if you showed up when it mattered most. They'll trust your ability to show up and not react. This week, make one decision without asking permission, guys, and follow through with it. Then do it again. That's all I've got for you today, so let's get back to work.